I think the big news of the week, really big news of the week though, was all of a sudden out of nowhere. I think it was last Friday night, I believe. I was sitting at home on the couch and got a Twitter notification from SpaceX, and this is what appeared on my screen.
Oh,
boom!
My
Sorry, I was just
Raptor.
This was
Raptor,
awesome.
barely newer.
Doesn't always work, Joe.
It always works.
But this made me really excited. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, SpaceX shared a picture of their vacuum optimized Raptor engine. And this blew me away because I didn't think they were really quite at this point yet, you know, where they would have a proper, I thought they might have like some, you know, some test stuff, because you can actually kind of create a vacuum skirt just temporarily to test on the stand and stuff. But this is a proper developmental, you know, Raptor vacuum engine.
The one on the right?
The one on the right, the big one. Yep. So let me kind of run you guys through what we're looking at here and why this is important. So of course, you know, they have smaller, relatively small nozzles on the sea level engine on the left, because they have to fit a ton of them around a 9-meter wide booster, right? That's, you know, that's obviously, you can't have too big of a nozzle, or else you can't put too many of these on the rocket. But also, you know, you can't have too big of a nozzle firing at sea level, because as I talked about in that aerospike video I did, if you're every bit that your nozzle gets longer and expands out wider, it's dropping pressure. And so you can actually get below 1 bar of pressure. So at sea level, you know, we're all sitting here at about 1 bar. And so even a sea level optimized engine is slightly overexpanded. So it's actually lower. The exhaust, even though it's shooting out of there really fast, the pressure at the end of the nozzle is lower than sea level already. But if you keep going too low, the ambient air pressure will squeeze in on it and actually start creating these shock waves inside the nozzle, and that can destroy the nozzle. Can and will destroy the nozzle. It's not like maybe it's like, no. If you're too overexpanded, if you make too big of a nozzle and you fire it at sea level, it absolutely will just get ripped apart by shock waves.
This sounds like a you're not going to space today verse.
Yeah, if your nozzle's too overexpanded, you're not going to space today. So that's absolutely the case. So now we see all of a sudden that they are working on and going to begin testing the RapVac, as I'm calling it.
Oh, barely newer.
No. One of the fun things to note is it is regeneratively cooled. So that is where they flow fuel through little tiny tubes and pipes all the way up and down the nozzle.
Is that what we're seeing? Other than these the pipes that are kind of on the outside of the skirt there?
Horizontal?
Yeah.
Yes, horizontal and vertical are all feeding tubes to be able to feed the pipes and the tubes inside the nozzle. And so just so you know, on the left even, the normal nozzle on a Raptor engine, there are actually little tiny tubes running through this. It's like, you know, the whole wall thickness is only a couple millimeters or something. We're talking about a tiny thickness, but there's literally channels running up and down through that still regeneratively cool the nozzle and the chamber and the whole rocket engine itself. They continued that from what's already a wider looking nozzle. You see it expands out a little bit more at the beginning. And then as it goes down, the whole thing is regeneratively cooled. And this is different from the Merlin vacuum engine, because don't forget, you know, SpaceX obviously makes the Merlin, which is Merlin vacuum engine. I typed in Merlin vacuum and I got an actual vacuum. Thanks, Internet. I did not know there's a vacuum called Merlin.
This is where they need to, you know, tailor it to you. This is where the algorithm would be a good thing.
Yes, exactly. So here's a picture of the nozzle extension here, and on the Merlin engine. And then the Merlin engine it's not regeneratively cooled. It's actually radiatively and film cooled. So it's made out of niobium. It's really thin and lightweight, and it radiates most of its heat away. That's why when it's firing in space, it's glowing bright red. So because it's radiatively cooled. Also, see this little like snail looking thing around the kind of that extension, or you can see it here, this big black snail looking thing. That's actually, they're literally taking the exhaust from the gas generator that spins the pumps, because it's an open cycle. And you can see that when they're firing the Merlin engine normally, you see this big dark soot black exhaust. Well, that exhaust coming out of there is relatively cool. You know, it's a lot cooler than the main exhaust product. So on the vacuum engine, they actually pipe that back through this manifold here, and it runs down along the sides of these walls and has this area that is cooler than the main exhaust product of the engine. That keeps the bell from totally melting itself, just like along with the radiative cooling. But you know, what we're seeing here is actually this is better for reusability wise, potentially, I guess, not necessarily, but it is a fully regenerative nozzle all the way down through the nozzle extension. And the important thing, they can't do film cooling on this engine because it's the full flow stage combustion cycle doesn't have anywhere where it's leaking out cooler exhaust.
Because it's full flow.
Because it's full flow. All of the exhaust products are going into the combustion chamber to make it even hotter and more higher pressure and all that stuff. So this was a big thing and it was really cool, but immediately the internet was pointing out certain things. So first off, Elon, he responded to the SpaceX tweet saying, worth noting that thrust is only slightly higher with the big Bell nozzle version. Larger Bell is primarily for efficiency in vacuum, aiming for 380 plus seconds of specific impulse for RVAC long term. Initially, it's likely to be around 372. But still, 380 is nothing to sneeze at. That's a very efficient engine. That's getting up there with even some hydrogen engines. So that's pretty awesome. So yeah, if they can get 380, 385 eventually, that's really, really a big step up from the Merlin vacuum, which is one of the most efficient engines for RP1, and that's around 350, if I remember right. Then Pranay, who is also another person that's always asking Elon good questions, asked, are the hinges at the top here? You can see there's those hinge mounts. Asking, are those hinges required for thrust vectoring at the very top? Will those be used for mounting on the test stand? And Elon said that, over and over that the vacuum engine will not gimbal. It doesn't need to swivel around. It will just do thrust vectoring, and only the center engines need to. And Elon said, this is a test engine. Flight articles are fixed with no gimbal. So basically for now, they're literally just taking a normal Raptor. Why change up the way they mount it to the test stand? Why change up anything? Just use what we have off the shelf, and let's add a nozzle extension to it, just to make it different there instead of changing up everything. And I asked Elon, odds of surviving his first test, pretty confident it'll work perfectly, or is this the first run of a new nozzle design pretty risky with a low chance of success? And he said above 50% likely to make it. And because I know people are going to ask, how do you test a vacuum engine at sea level?
I was about to ask that.
It's a great question. There's a few different ways. One of them, like this particular bell, looks like it's curved in, almost like the space shuttle engine. So you can do some tricks to make it so it doesn't have that flow separation issue, and you can still kind of test it in those conditions a little bit. But the other way is you actually literally stick it in a tube. You put the whole engine and the whole test stand basically in a giant tube. And what happens is, because of the Venturi effect, it will start sucking air in and basically just self-regulate and create its own vacuum inside. As much as air, it will suck in air basically from the outside, and in doing so will basically prevent that cavitation and that thing. I don't think it creates like a perfect, it doesn't obviously.
So it's an open tube. It's not
correct.
Like closed and then
it's an open tube. You let all the exhaust flow out, but in doing so it creates a negative pressure in front of the engine bell.
Cool.
So by the time it's there, it's basically firing in a vacuum. Yeah. Pretty crazy that they literally just, I'll just take a tube around it. And that works. Yeah.
It sounds like the same thing that makes my shower curtain like blow in and stick to my thigh as I'm trying to.
Yes, exactly.
Because there's the water in the thing, and it pulls in the negative in the thigh.
100% true. It literally is. Yeah.
It all makes sense.
That's why they have magnets at the bottom of the shower curtains,
which are useless.
Yeah. Some of us have ceramic bathtubs from the 50s or something. I don't know.
I've got a cast iron one.
Oh.
I actually have a couple of the really strong, like tiny, super strong magnets, neodymium or whatever.
Oh yeah, the ND.
Or was that? Oh, yeah.
Rare earth, whatever.
Does that actually work?
Because the ones that they put in there are useless. They couldn't hold a piece of paper on a refrigerator.
So you put those in there. That's how you
upgraded?
Yeah.
You upgraded your shower curtain magnets?
I'm just let's talk about how I take a shower. So no, I just have a couple of them like in my shower, and I use them, because the ones that are in the shower curtain don't work.
Now do you have, how do you get them from where they are to the bottom of the shower curtain? Is there like a stick you have, or?
I bend over.
I want to keep
in the water.
So, speaking of...
So vacuum engines.
And yeah, that's pretty much it. So we're hopefully going to see, we'll probably hear reports on how it did. I don't know. They shipped it last week, I guess, or something. So it's probably at McGregor by now. And maybe they'll be firing it soon. I don't know how long that stuff takes, but I would guess that they're probably going to, they want to test it ASAP, make progress on it, test it out, and hopefully we'll see them iterate on it more and more. And before you know it, we might be seeing the Raptor vacuum optimized version kind of ready to go. And that's hugely exciting.
When they do the 20 kilometer hop, will they have that stuff in it or no? Okay.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm guessing they will.
Those have 3 vacuum optimized, regular sea level engines.
And that'll be what we've seen so far plus the super heavy booster?
No, just what we're seeing, but with the aerodynamics on it. So the nose cone and the flappy wings and everything. Yep.
Got it.
And so that brings us, I was just going to share a couple just while we're talking about this, because I just wanted to give I feel like it's been a little second since we've talked about, what's going on at Boca Chica, because that is a full-time job, as you guys know, of those of you that watch NASA spaceflight stuff and Mary's stuff. It is literally a full-time job of a team of people to keep up with what's going on down at Boca Chica. So right now we have, as of the recording of this, we have serial number 7 is back out at the pad as serial number 7.1 with a new alloy that they're going to be testing to hopefully probably pressure testing and then testing till failure. There's a picture of it there on the pad. If you guys need to keep up on the stuff as much as any of us, you just watch NASA spaceflight stuff. They just absolutely knock it out of the park. But they also are making progress on the super heavy, the orbital stand that they're working on. So these tubes will be filled with concrete and turned into an orbital mount for the super heavy booster. That's making good progress. They also are working on, there's already parts being shown up for serial number 11 have been spotted now back at the factory. So they're just making a lot of progress constantly. The high bay is making a lot of progress. Here's a good shot of it. You can see they're actually starting to get the walls all the way up on the high bay. It is at its final height in this shot here. So the high bay is full height, but it's getting, its roof and its side panels, and it's getting filled in. And I think it's interesting that they have these outside structures on it. It's like an inside out building. Have you guys noticed that?
The scaffolding there?
Yeah. Those are permanent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're
so
in
when
all
you're done,
of their...
you can go rock climbing. Perfect.
But it is in all of their new buildings like this. And I think it's just so you can keep the big interior volume space. You can have a larger interior volume. You just put the structure on the outside, which is, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. I don't know. Are people talking about that? Have you guys ever seen? I've never seen that. And they've done it now on their mid bay and their high bay.
I feel like every action movie that involves a high-rise building, they've had those, because someone eventually falls out of it and lands on one of those things.
And grabs onto it, and they're holding on for dear life on the. Yeah, you're right. So they probably just got it from action movies.
Pretty much.
But so now the question is, serial number 7.1 is going to be tested till failure. The big question is, what is going to go out to the pad next? There's a lot of speculation between serial number 5 going back out for another test, serial number 6 going back out to another test, or even some people are just starting to go like, why do they need to keep doing that? Serial number 6 went so smoothly. It was really a smooth thing. And people are starting to guess, well, maybe serial number 8 will head out now. And serial number 8 would be the first one that has 3 Raptors. So it'd be a big step up in complexity. It also will be the first one with aerodynamic features. So more systems. So this might be, say they get it out to the pad, say that they do that this month. Let's pretend the next rocket to the pad is serial number 8. There's going to be a lot more systems to check out, a lot riskier, static fire, because now you have 3 engines to static fire, just a lot more systems like that. So maybe, who knows, maybe we'll see serial number 8 go out to the pad and maybe they'll do a small hop. Maybe they'll just screw it and say, we're going for it. What if the next hop or flight would be like the big one? I mean, yeah. Who knows?
Where are they?
I feel like.
Go ahead, Joe. You have a much
Ben,
smarter
what do I
question
feel
than me,
like?
I'm sure.
No, Ben.
No, it's not a question. I was just saying, I feel like, I mean, if they've already got parts together for serial number 11 and 8's, the next one up, it's like, and they've got, I guess, coming up 2 test stands.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or at least 1 test stand and 1 like super heavy stand.
No, they
that
have 2
could
test
use.
stands and a super heavy pad.
I just feel like we're going to be starting to see like a lot of tests.
Right.
Like they're just going to start rolling them out there and
not carrying as much. They're not as bespoke anymore. It's like, oh, well, we've got another one right there, and we have.
yeah. I mean, it's almost like they're going to have a backlog of vehicles just kind of sitting there waiting to get tested.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're I mean, what's the point of even iterating on the next version of it if they haven't tested 3 back yet and learned what they need to learn from that to iterate into this one,
You're right. You're absolutely right. I think the biggest risk for them right now is not blowing up their like tank farm. Like that would be the only thing I think that they're not just fully like take it out of the pad, test it tomorrow. Is like maybe don't explode your
And
propellant
ruin the
factory.
other 5 ones sitting around. That was my question. So where are all of these?
They're all in different stages and different parts of the. So the mid bay is where they can stack these basically all the way up with the nose cone and everything. But those tents that are in the kind of the foreground, those lower lying tents, have all the ring sections. They have the nose cones. They have kind of all the the different thrust puck and stuff like that. And so we're seeing parts of those, and then they will get stacked in the mid bay, and they could probably use the high bay to stack too before they're ready to do a super heavy booster if they're running out of room in that mid bay, which currently is like there's 3 rockets and only 2 of them fit in there right now. So
yeah, like how many fully kind of stacked ones, or as fully stacked as they have been to date, exist that are still functioning and didn't blow up?
There's 3 that are flight capable. Fully stacked versions. There's serial number 5,
and
serial number 6.
Each one gets its own Raptor.
Serial number 8. They take them off after each flight so far.
Okay.
So they haven't been like married and totally permanently mated to a individual Raptor. Serial number 5 use serial number 7 Raptor. Serial number 6 use serial number 29 Raptor. Serial number 8 might use 29 and 30 and 31 or something, or a smorgasbord,
Because pretty soon they're going to have just like a whole field of these things, right?
They're pretty much there. I mean,
that's what I mean. Like pretty soon you're going to be like, hey, wait, which one is this? Can someone please write the giant number 5 on this one or something?
It's
just so
already,
I
mean, if it wasn't for Mary, us from the outside would already completely have lost track of which ones are where and why and how.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
they have their own rocket garden forming.
Literally, it's insane. It's this is the thing that Elon mentioned last year that I kind of scoffed at or like laughed. He's like, no, really soon, like we're gonna be, by next year we're just gonna be having a factory of these, and we're just gonna be making them every 2 weeks. And like normally when Elon says something like that, you're kind of like, yeah, ha, 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 They're pretty much to that. They're pretty much making a rocket or have the potential to make a rocket every 2 weeks at this point. Maybe every 4 weeks.
I feel like they're doing it every month.
Yeah, they're definitely doing it once a month, or could do one completely from scratch to completed in about a month now. And
but that's my point. It's like, what's the point of creating all those if you haven't learned from
right
the tests?
And you're not done iterating. Yeah,
right.
I think right now manufacturing is getting ahead of the testing.
Right.
But the capability there, and they're working on the other stands. They're working on the ability to just go out and test constantly. So I think it'll be. Elon said that they hope to eventually just test multiple times a day, even.
Wow.
Like that. This is just not a big deal. So,
Nice.
But there's been some pushback.
You'll never get anything done.
Yeah, I won't ever be able to sleep or anything. At that point, hopefully it'll be so routine I don't need to cover it all. But the thing to remember, or there was some pushback. Brownsville, the city of Brownsville, and the Boca Chica park and stuff. There is talk that they want that to be accessible during the day, and that they might want to only let SpaceX do testing at night, which would kind of suck for live streams. For me, obviously. But maybe, who knows, maybe I keep hoping that the city and state and SpaceX works on a bridge. Like there's actually an old path that goes totally north of the site and gets access to the beach from the north. Cause there is a solid 4 miles or 6.5 kilometers or whatever of beach north of this before you get to the channel and South Padre Island. There's a good stretch of beach there. And you could build a bridge and pave a whole proper thing and actually, still have access to the beach from the north that doesn't go through the SpaceX property anymore. And I think that's what's going to have to happen. I think SpaceX is going to have to purchase up all the rest of the land in that area, which they're working on, and then help pay for a state, maintained access to the beach, because right now they are absolutely blocking the beach access for the average person. And yeah. Or have a ferry, a temporary solution would be a ferry from South Padre Island that just drops cars off at the north part of the beach. That's an option too. That could be pretty quickly implemented.
You'll just need to move to Hawaii, Tim. That way you've got an extra few hours of daylight.
There you go. New Zealand.
There you go.
It's time.
But then you'd have to wake up super early, right?
No, I don't know. Maybe
20-something hours ahead.
No,
and
they're
you'd
only
be upside down.
Yeah.
They're only like 12 or 11 or 10 or something. It's
You'd
not
just be
that bad.
standing in the bathroom watching the toilet go the other way, like, what?
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this clip from our show. If that's just not enough for you and you want to watch the full episode, you can go to olfpod.com/YT.
And if you want more from us, you can consider becoming a Patreon member. You'll get early access to episodes. You can join our awesome community. You can actually watch us record live and get your name in the credits by going to olfpod.com/Patreon.
So thanks everyone for watching. Check back every Friday for new clips here and new episodes on the main channel.
Thanks everybody.